The summer of 2008 in Orlando, Florida, began like any other, with sunshine, family gatherings, and the warmth of a close-knit suburban neighborhood. At the heart of it all was the Anthony family. George and Cindy Anthony, their 22-year-old daughter Casey, and the apple of everyone's eye, little Caylee Marie Anthony, a bright, beautiful 2-year-old girl with sparkling eyes and an infectious laugh. Welcome to the crime documentary. From the outside, their lives seemed picture perfect. Caylee was a healthy, happy toddler, doted on by her grandparents, and adored by her mother. The family posed for photographs at birthday parties, by the pool, and during festive holiday dinners. Snapshots that told a story of joy and stability. But as we would soon learn, behind the smiling faces lay a much darker reality. In mid-June 2008, Caylee seemingly vanished. At first, no one outside the family noticed anything unusual. Casey continued posting pictures online, going out with friends, and living her life as if nothing had changed. But in the Anthony household, questions began to bubble to the surface. Cindy Anthony had not seen her granddaughter in over a month, and each time she asked Casey where Caylee was, she was met with vague excuses: a play date, a trip with a nanny, time spent with friends. Then came July 15th, 2008, the day everything changed. Cindy placed a frantic call to 911, reporting that her granddaughter had been missing for 31 days and accusing her daughter of hiding the truth.
There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car.
That statement would set off one of the most high-profile criminal investigations in modern American history. A case that would grip the nation, divide public opinion, and lead to a trial that was dubbed the trial of the decade. In the hours after Cindy's 911 call, law enforcement quickly became suspicious. Why had Casey not reported her daughter missing? And more importantly, where was Caylee? Casey told detectives that she had left her daughter with a babysitter named Zenaida Zani Fernandez Gonzalez, who had suddenly disappeared with the child. But when police investigated, they found no trace of such a person. The babysitter didn't exist. At least, not in the way Casey claimed. Instead, investigators discovered a web of lies, inconsistencies, and odd behavior that painted a very different picture of what might have happened. In the weeks following Caylee's disappearance, Casey had been photographed partying at nightclubs, entering a hot body contest, and getting a tattoo on her back that read Bella Vita, Italian for beautiful life. To the public, this was unthinkable behavior for a grieving mother. To detectives, it was a sign that something far more sinister had occurred. But Casey insisted she was innocent. She claimed she was being misunderstood and that her actions were not a reflection of guilt. As media outlets began to swarm the Anthony home, the story became a nationwide obsession. The search for Caylee would become a race against time, with law enforcement, volunteers, and media all desperate for answers. But no one could have predicted the bizarre twists, shocking evidence, and explosive courtroom drama that lay ahead. As the investigation deepened, the perfect image of the young mother began to crumble, and the truth, whatever it was, would shake America to its core. In the hours after her arrest for child neglect and providing false statements to law enforcement, Casey Anthony sat in an interrogation room facing seasoned detectives. They wanted answers. Why had she lied about the babysitter? Where had Caylee been for the past month? Casey remained calm, even charming at times, spinning detailed stories about her job at Universal Studios and her daily life with Caylee before she went missing. But when detectives followed her to Universal to verify her employment, the truth collapsed spectacularly. Walking through the hallways with investigators, Casey finally admitted she didn't work there at all. She had been lying. Detective, you don't work here, do you? Casey, no. It was a stunning admission. Not just that she had lied, but that she had lied so easily. As the investigation intensified, forensic experts examined Caylee's abandoned Pontiac Sunfire. The car had been towed from a local lot after being reported abandoned. Inside, they found a foul, unmistakable odor, a smell that seasoned officers described as consistent with human decomposition. Testing revealed high levels of chloroform in the trunk, along with a single strand of hair matching Caylee's DNA. A hair exhibiting signs of post-mortem root banding, a condition that occurs after death. The picture emerging was deeply troubling. But Caylee's behavior only became stranger, and her family's public defense of her would soon ignite a media firestorm. Cindy Anthony, Caylee's grandmother, became a central figure in the unfolding saga. Fiercely protective of her daughter, she alternated between demanding answers and defending Caylee against the growing suspicion. In press interviews, Cindy maintained that Caylee was alive and that someone else, not Caylee, was responsible for her disappearance. George Anthony, Caylee's father, was more subdued, often appearing emotionally broken under the weight of the media spotlight. Meanwhile, protesters gathered daily outside the Anthony home, waving signs that read "Baby Killer" and "Justice for Caylee." Neighbors complained of shouting matches and near-violent confrontations in the street. The Anthony family was under siege, but police were unmoved. They continued to gather evidence, focusing on Caylee's internet search history, which revealed chilling terms like "how to make chloroform" and "neck breaking." The family that once seemed so united now appeared fractured under the pressure. But the search for Caylee would soon come to a tragic end, and the discovery would turn the case into a national obsession. On December 11, 2008, 6 months after Caylee was last seen, a utility worker named Roy Kronk was walking through a wooded area less than half a mile from the Anthony home. While relieving himself in the brush, he noticed something unusual: a small trash bag partially hidden under fallen leaves. Inside was a tiny skull, its eye sockets empty, its jawbone detached. The remains were wrapped in a Winnie the Pooh blanket, stuffed into 2 plastic bags, and secured with duct tape over the mouth area. Forensic testing confirmed the worst. It was Caylee Marie Anthony. The condition of the remains made it impossible to determine an exact cause of death, but the duct tape placement suggested foul play. Prosecutors now had a body, but no direct evidence tying Caylee to a murder. The nation mourned, but the legal battle was just beginning. Caylee Anthony now faced the possibility of the death penalty, and the trial would reveal stunning strategies from her defense team. On May 24, 2011, the trial of Caylee Anthony began in Orlando. Prosecutors painted her as a selfish, party-driven mother who killed her daughter to reclaim her freedom. They argued that Caylee died from suffocation, likely by duct tape, and that Caylee dumped her body in the woods to avoid responsibility. The defense, led by Jose Baez, shocked the courtroom with a very different theory. Caylee had accidentally drowned in the Anthony family swimming pool, and George Anthony had helped cover it up to protect Caylee. Baez further accused George of years of sexual abuse, allegations George vehemently denied. The case had transformed from a straightforward murder trial into a tabloid sensation, but the evidence, and the lack of it, would prove critical in the jury's decision. The prosecution leaned heavily on forensic science: the chloroform traces in the trunk, the post-mortem hair banding, and the computer searches. They argued these formed a clear picture of premeditated murder. But Baez countered that the forensic methods were unreliable, pointing to expert testimony that questioned the accuracy of chloroform detection and hair analysis. He reminded jurors that no one had witnessed Caylee harming Caylee, and no direct evidence tied her to the cause of death. The defense also attacked the character evidence portraying Caylee not as a partying monster, but as a young woman coping with trauma and dysfunction. By the time closing arguments arrived, the jury faced an impossible question. Was Casey Anthony a murderer, or simply a deeply flawed young woman caught in a tragic accident? On July 5, 2011, after just 11 hours of deliberation, the jury returned its verdict. Casey Anthony was found not guilty of first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, and aggravated manslaughter. She was convicted only of lying to law enforcement. The courtroom erupted in gasps. Outside, the public reaction was explosive. Crowds shouted in anger, news anchors expressed disbelief, and social media, still in its early years, lit up with outrage. Many felt justice had been denied for Caylee. Others saw the verdict as proof that the prosecution had failed to meet the high standard of beyond a reasonable doubt. Casey Anthony walked free after nearly 3 years in jail, but her life and her public image would never be the same. Following her release, Casey Anthony vanished from public view, living in undisclosed locations and avoiding interviews. In the years since, she has given only a handful of statements, insisting she does not know what happened to Caylee and that she sleeps well at night. Public opinion remains overwhelmingly against her. Many still believe she got away with murder. Others see her as a victim of a flawed prosecution and media hysteria. The case sparked national debates on forensic evidence, the death penalty, and the role of public opinion in criminal trials. It also left an enduring mystery. What really happened to Caylee Marie Anthony? To this day, that question remains unanswered. In the end, the trial of the decade left more questions than answers. And for those who loved Caylee, the absence of truth is the hardest verdict of all. Like and subscribe for more real crime stories, turn on notifications, because the next case might be even darker.